Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I feel privileged to speak at this Partnership Summit on the subject of India and China, a new dynamic. I'm speaking on behalf of the National Security Advisor, who unfortunately could not be here to speak to you in person due to another unavoidable commitment. It's particularly gratifying to attend this year's event in Hyderabad, which is not only renowned for its cultural history, but is also one of India's most dynamic cities, which hosts some of India's finest achievers in biotechnology, information technology, and business studies. Turning to the topic of this session and my address, it is difficult to speak of India and China, let alone the new dynamic which guides their destinies, without also contemplating the long and uninterrupted history as close neighbors and as the world's two most populous nations. Ties between India and China go back to antiquity, deep into the folds of history, to an age characterized by an openness of mind and a willingness to learn and imbibe through creative interaction and a profusion of ideas. There were also huge exchanges in trade at that time, as both countries were then great global economies. Yet, there's no gainsaying the fact that it is in the 20th century and with the advent of the modern age of communications, transportation, and science and technology that have truly led to India and China discovering each other. As modern nations, we have coexisted and cooperated, the differences in our models of economic growth notwithstanding. Both India and China are today focused on domestic construction that is rapidly changing the fortunes of millions of people in both countries. Relations between our countries have significance beyond the bilateral context. Today, our relations have much greater regional and international significance than ever before. Developments in both countries, which are Asia's largest and third largest economies, and relations between ourselves have a wider connotation in the emerging economic and strategic landscape of Asia and to a certain degree globally. But first, something about the context in which we should view the new and emerging dynamic. Global growth engines, as we all know, have been shifting to Asia. In Asia, China has had a head start in economic growth, but China's is not the only growth story. India and a number of other countries in the region are experiencing relatively high economic growth rates. Political and economic power is showing a trend towards greater diffusion. Much of the world is yet to recover from the effects of the global economic and financial crises. Many countries are still reeling under not only recession, but also some political turbulence. One can say without fear of contradiction that our two countries have managed to register reasonably healthy rates of growth and maintain stability. Perhaps no two other countries in the world that share a common geopolitical space and similar socio-economic aspirations have managed to bring the benefits of economic progress to such sizable sections of their population to the extent that China and India have been able to do over the past few decades. As far as India itself is concerned, while we have achieved several goals through our pragmatic policies, much remains to be done if the fruits of progress are to reach all sections of society. Asia has emerged as the new fulcrum of economic growth and possibly the engine for future global economic recovery. But the future still brims with uncertainty. The economic and security situation is also taking on a complex hue in an unprecedented manner due to the change of balance of power towards Asia, the state being in a world of flux, and the trend certainly points towards hedging strategies.